Yes, these are the brand new Campagnolo Bora Ultra WTO wheels. This is my review and you're watching Just Ride Bikes. Let's dive in. I've been riding the wheels for the last couple of weeks now on this very lovely Bianchi Specialissima, review coming soon. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what the wheels are like to ride and go through the tech details on them. But before we do that, a quick bit of history just for context in case you're not familiar with the Bora lineup, and if you are, you can skip ahead to the tech and ride impressions. So the Bora is Campagnolo's flagship carbon fibre race wheelset, first launched in 1994 when carbon fibre tech was in its infancy. 8-speed group sets were the norm and I was still in school. So lots has changed in that time, and I'm not just speaking about myself. That original Bora was a 50mm deep carbon fibre wheelset that was much more aero and much lighter than the alloy wheels it was making at the time. So real progress, a real step forward in performance. In the decades since, the wheels have changed quite a bit. Carbon fibre tech has matured, aero has improved, and rims and tyres have generally got wider, and we've now got the advent of disc brakes. And these brand new Boras launched today have been 3 years in development and quite a step forward from the previous generation Boras, if you're familiar with those.
So the changes in detail then, starting with the rims, which are stunning to look at. It's true that fast wheels need to look the part, and these jolly well do. They're jewel-like in their appearance. And this is actually how the wheels come out of the mould, thanks to a better blend of carbon fibre, resin, and no need for finishing lacquer. They've also pared the graphics right back with a new copper treatment, which I think is a successful move. These aren't wheels for shouting about how deep your pockets are, instead, classy is the word here. It's not all about looks, weight has been saved. On the scales, they're a claimed 1,425 grams, while my scales, they're 1,450, 670 front and 780 rear. This carbon construction also means a more precise rim bed for better tubeless installation. Yes, that's right, the rims are two-way, clincher and tubeless compatible. There is no tubular version. That means when the professionals use these wheels, they're using inner tubes or sealant. The aerodynamic performance has been improved by hiding the spoke nipples inside the rims. It's done this by developing unique aero mode mag nipples which sit in moulded spoke holes, which also increases strength and reduces stress in the local area. And if you're wondering how the hell do you adjust the spokes, you have a special tool for that. There's also a brand new all carbon front hub with a striking hourglass shape designed to reduce frontal surface area. The rear hub meanwhile is aluminium because the forces going through the rear hub are different to the front hub. Inside the hubs are ceramic bearings which offer a claimed 5.5 times less friction than standard sealed steel bearings. Personally, I'm not totally convinced about ceramic bearings, but there's no denying these are super smooth and spin for ages in the work stand and feel incredible on the road, which we'll talk about in a bit. There's the same distinctive G3 spoke lacing pattern using 2-to-1 lacing with straight pull bladed aero spokes and optimised for disc brakes to improve power transfer and reduce stress under heavy braking. The rear hub uses the latest N3W Freehub design launched with a 13-speed Eccar group set last year with a space of giving 11 and 12-speed compatibility. Shimano and SRAM free hubs are available as well.
Now the price, well, there's no getting around it. It is a big price tag, but these are the company's flagship wheels, the absolute peak of its technical expertise and builds on all that experience from the original Bora back in 1994. And they're all made in Europe, largely made at its Italian headquarters in Vicenza, including the front hub. So they're not outsourced to an external manufacturer, they're all in-house, all its own expertise. Setup of the wheels was a breeze and couldn't be any easier. So the rims are clincher and tubeless compatible, using a totally sealed rim bed so no rim tape is needed, and a hooked bead profile. And as the rims are optimised for a 25mm wide tyre, I went with the Pirelli tubeless 26mm wide tyres launched last year, and which are one of my favourite fast rolling tubeless tyres at the moment. And using the supplied tubeless valves and a tubeless inflator, The tyres popped up with no trouble at all, no swearing or faffing, just popped up straight away. A bit of sealant inside through the valve, and air retention has been excellent. I don't need to pump them up before every ride, and I've run them for a few weeks like that with no issues at all. So let's talk about ride impressions. And well, they look spectacular, and they are spectacular to ride. And the first thing that really strikes you on a sunny day like today, and when you're riding along and you look down at your front wheel, the sun really bounces off that brand new hub and rim, makes you smile, really makes you feel special about these wheels, because they do look amazing, they look special, and they feel special when you ride. But when it comes to performance, there's no denying it, these are fast wheels. Seriously fast on all my local roads, going up, down, across, on any surface, smooth like this brand new tarmac road here, or rough roads as well. I swear it's like somebody give me a 50-watt free voucher and I cash it in straight away. The way they just glide along the road with almost no drag and no effort and no resistance is just remarkable. Now, WTO stands for Wind Tunnel Optimized, so they are designed in a wind tunnel. And I can't do any testing in the wind tunnel as much as I would love to do that. A big group test of all the wheels in the wind tunnel would be an amazing bit of video content to share with you, maybe one for the future. But thankfully, Campag does share some of its testing, and they benchmark these wheels against the Swiss side Hadron 485. Now, I haven't ridden the wheels, but they get good reviews, and Swiss side has a good reputation for its own aero wheels, but also working with companies who want some aero testing data. The company also supplies data for these wheels against its current pro favourite, the Bora 50 tubular with a glued-on tyre. And these, with a tubeless Continental tyre, are massively faster on a hilly course compared to those tubular tyres beloved of the pros. And that really shows why there's a big kind of push for clincher tyres with latex inner tubes and tubular tyres in the pro peloton by a few brands and a few teams. Because when you look at data like that, and you look at how much faster a tubeless setup is, well, it's a no-brainer really. So when we're talking about the speed of the wheels, which they clearly are a fast set of wheels, the tubeless tyres clearly contribute quite a bit to that lack of rolling resistance and how fast they are on the road. So speed is good, clearly not an issue there, they're a fast set of wheels. The Freehub engages as quick as you want and need. Stamp on the pedals, there's no delay, no lag at all. And that's great for sprinting and climbing from a standstill, no issues there. The wheels are plenty stiff enough for me as a 65-kilogram rider. When I'm romping up a hill out of the saddle, giving it as many watts as I can, or sprinting for a town sign, I can't feel any flex from the front or rear wheel at all, so they're all fine there. And when it comes to dealing with windy conditions and crosswinds, which are usually the menace for a deep section carbon wheel set like these, well, these perform really well, with no erratic movement when you're riding down a road with gaps in the hedgerow for the wind to whistle through. They remain stable, easy to control, so they feel really good, and as good as any of the other best wheel sets I've tested that are really good in windy conditions, thanks to this nice aero profile on these wheels. And the general handling response on these wheels is excellent. Nice and snappy, feel direct, feel alive. They're stiff but not harsh, they don't beat you up. They seem to give the bike a bit more smoothness on rougher roads and deal with cracks and potholes quite well. So quite a refined wheel set, nice silky smoothness that just makes you want to ride and ride and ride until your legs fall off. So you might be getting the impression that I like these wheels, and I do, and there's nothing to fault on them, but there is. I can interject a note of caution on these wheels. As with Campagnolo's products over the years, they are focused on the needs and requirements of professional riders. These then have a 19mm internal rim width, which is optimized according to Campag for a 25mm wide tyre. You can go narrower, 23 if you want, and you can go wider, but there's no max width limit on these. So 28 or 30 would be fine. But generally speaking, the wider the tyre, the wider you want the rim, for better aero and better support of that wide tyre, especially if you go to tubeless for the lower pressures you can run. Tyres are getting wider, even in the pro peloton. In years gone by, the pros will be on 19, 21 or 23. Now they basically run 25 or 26 and then go wider for the spring classics. And that's why these are capped at a 25 optimized tyre width, because they are developed for the pros. But here in the real world, many of us are riding much wider tyres. 28 is the new normal for lots of people. 30, 32 for lots of people, especially with race bikes and endurance bikes offering ever wider tyre clearance. And companies like MD and Zip and others are addressing this trend by offering rims with much wider internal rim widths designed for wide tyres, with some as wide as 25 inside. So way wider than these and better designed for wide tyres for us mere mortals riding in the real world. So that is a big caveat with these wheels, is that as amazing as they are, as sensational performance they offer, they're not really a wheel set if you want to embrace the current wider tyre trend for normal riding. They are very much designed for racing, for high speed riding on a typical race bike like a Bianchi here. And for many of you, I know that'd be just fine, but it's just worth adding that note of caution that these don't follow the latest trend for wide tyres and wide rims. So time to wrap up this review with my verdict on these brand new wheels. And they're undeniably superb when it comes to performance. But while the performance is first class, so is the price tag. There's no getting away from the price of these wheels. But if you can stomach the price, if you can justify it to yourself, to your bank, then you won't be disappointed at all. Because the performance is tippity top. It really is that good and up there with some of the best carbon wheels I've yet tested, and I've ridden lots of carbon wheels over the years. And they look amazing as well. The way the sun bounces off that front hub and rim when you ride along the road is marvellous and very distracting, it has to be said. The fact they're made in Europe, mostly in Italy, from a company that's been on a quest for making the best performance products since its inception all those years ago. But that focus on race performance is perhaps the one downside to these wheels, because they're not as wide as they could be, or perhaps should be in the current market where tyres and wheels are going wider. But if you have no interest in wide tyres and you want a pure race, high-speed focused wheel set for your classic race bike like this Bianchi here, and you want to run a 25, 26mm wide tyre, maybe 28 at a pinch, then you'll be quite happy. You won't be disappointed at all. Anyway, superb wheels. I'll be disappointed when they go back, which they are going back very soon. So one last ride before we go back on this lovely sunny day today. Oh, do you want to hear the Freehub sound? Of course you do. It's not the loudest, and when you're riding, you don't really hear it over the sound of the road noise and the wind in your ears. So refined. And I personally prefer a quieter Freehub than a louder one. Let me know what you think down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Plenty more videos coming on a regular basis, bike and component reviews, so make sure you hang around if you want to see all of that. And it just leaves me to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video. Done.